host Penn State this weekend. Find out what will be the keys to the game for both teams.
The Dodgers have their backs against the wall after losing Game 3 in San Diego.
And women's volleyball is on fire heading into a big matchup this evening.
Happy Wednesday and welcome back to Sports Scene. I'm Devin Diet.
And I'm Liam Irvin.
And I'm Grace Schneider. Let's get right into things.
The biggest win on the West End. Vanderbilt takes down number 1 Alabama.
And is shoved out of bounds. No time left. Arkansas pulls the upset.
Washington avenges the loss in the national championship. And here come the fans.
Well, Minnesota believed. They believed they could beat number 11 USC. And they just did.
Last Saturday was a bad day to be a ranked team in an unranked matchup. Week 6 in college football was filled with upsets, seeing 5 top 15 teams lose. The previously first-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide fell to Vanderbilt in a shocking turn of events last weekend. Alabama now sits at number 7 after a historic loss. Number 4 Tennessee dropped the ball against unranked Arkansas, dropping the Vols to the 8th spot. Missouri got a beat down by Texas A&M, causing the Tigers to fall to the 21st spot. USC's loss to Minnesota resulted in the Trojans disappearing from the AP poll. And speaking of USC versus Minnesota, the Trojans suffered their second loss of the season against the unranked Golden Gophers, falling 24-17. Minnesota found holes in the USC's running defense with sophomore running back for Minnesota, Darius Taylor, running a season-high 144 yards. The Trojans looked undisciplined, racking up 8 penalties for 59 yards, including an unnecessary roughness call. The Gophers' defense put up a strong front, preventing Moss and his receivers from doing too much damage. With all the unexpected upsets, the chaos of Saturday, October 5th, 2024 will definitely be the talk of college football for years to come. Now let's go ahead and turn things over to Chris to see who leads the Heisman race after a chaotic weekend of college football. Chris?
Thanks, Grace. College football's most prestigious award usually goes to the nation's top QB, but despite the best efforts of guys like Cam Ward and Jalen Milroe, 2 non-quarterbacks lead the Heisman race. Travis Hunter is top 10 in the country in both receiving yards and touchdowns, but he plays most of his snaps at corner, where he's forced 3 turnovers. Ashton Jeanty has been downright impossible to tackle. He averages more than 200 yards a game and nearly 11 yards a carry, leading the country by far in rushing yards and touchdowns. Running back Jeanty has the best odds right now, with the hybrid receiver corner Travis Hunter in second place. Ward, the passing yards and touchdowns leader at Miami, is in third, with Alabama QB Milroe in fourth and Oregon QB Dylan Gabriel in fifth. So guys, do you think we'll get a non-QB Heisman winner this year? And if you do, who's your pick, Travis Hunter or Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with Travis Hunter. We see him playing both sides of the ball at cornerback and wide receiver. He's had 46 catches for 561 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also making 16 tackles and 2 interceptions on the defensive end. And this is probably his last year playing college football. He's talked to go number 1 in the draft. I know the Heisman Award has usually gone to a quarterback, but I think this year he deserves it.
Well, Devin, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I'm taking Ashton Jeanty. He's definitely the one to pick. Like you said, it's a year where there's not really one standout quarterback, so Jeanty sticks out. He's in a Mountain West team, which isn't always the first team that you look for in a Heisman player, but he's the lead rusher in the nation. He has over 1,000 rushing yards, and the second place rusher is trailing by him by 260 yards. He's obviously the choice.
Well, I agree with both of you guys. I'm going to have to disagree again and flip to a quarterback candidate. That's Cam Ward. I think the Heisman voting campaign really likes quarterbacks, and especially quarterbacks who win. Miami Hurricanes right now 6-0, 6th in the country. Cam Ward, 2,219 yards and 20 touchdowns with a 70% completion rate. But Chris, what do you think?
Well, I really love Ashton Jeanty, and I'd love to see it go to a non-quarterback, but if things keep going like they are right now, I have to go with Travis Hunter. He's just doing something we have never seen before. So ultimately, I think both Jeanty and Hunter deserve their spots at the top of the leaderboard, but we'll see if they can keep up the pace. Back to you guys at the desk.
After a tough loss to the Gophers on Saturday, the Trojans head home for an arguably must-win game in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The only problem is the team standing in the way of them, the Penn State Nittany Lions. The number 4 nationally ranked team in the country have gone undefeated in their first 5 games, outscoring opponents 172-57. In typical Nittany Lion fashion, James Franklin has solidified one of the most elite rushing offenses in the country, averaging 217 rushing yards per game alongside a top defense in the Big Ten.
Got a ton of respect for what they do offensively. They've been able to score points and put up yards for a long time at a lot of different places against a bunch of different teams. Defensively, Danton Lynn had a top 15 defense last year at UCLA and has done a really good job.
With USC's biggest matchup yet coming up on Saturday, the Trojans will look to some of their keys to the game against number 4 Penn State.
My message to the team was, we have 2 pretty clear choices: is to, double down on who we are, come closer as a team, and go forward with a great opportunity we have this weekend, or let this affect us and deter us from what we ultimately want to do. So,
my key to the game is USC needing to tighten up its run defense if they want to beat the 4th-ranked Nittany Lions. USC's run defense has been a problem these past few weeks, allowing 193 to Minnesota, 161 to Wisconsin, and 290 to Michigan. The run defense also just lost its star linebacker Eric Gentry, who may be out the rest of the year with a medical red shirt.
Well, as the USC offense tries to improve, Penn State defense will continue to keep up their tenacity with the 4th best total defense in the country. Have fun trying to get past the Penn State defense in short conversion territory. The Nittany Lions have allowed a mere 233 yards per game against opponents, which ranks 4th in the country, as well as 2 interceptions and 6 sacks for losses. The Penn State team has also only allowed just 6 touchdowns total on the season. The defense for the Nittany Lions will easily be one of the key factors for either side at the Collie. Speaking of some keys to success for this weekend, Devin, what do you think the Trojans have to do to be successful on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's not looking good for them. I mean, I watched that Penn State versus UCLA game, and though it's not hard to look good against UCLA, they looked extremely good. And if USC struggled with Minnesota's pass rush last weekend, I think they're going to be in big trouble with Penn State. I think USC needs to do a better job of protecting the quarterback.
Well, I do think USC has been a little bit of a mess over their past couple losses, and they had 8 penalties against Minnesota. I don't think Penn should be where they are right now. They should not be number 4. They've played Illinois. That's their most significant win. I think they're overrated. They played 4 home games. 1 away game was at West Virginia. Guys, I don't know. USC has a chance to beat Penn State right here.
I like the optimistic thinking. I think the O-line, back to your point, Devin, absolutely has to be better. I'll read some stats off. These are all before the Minnesota game. Miller Moss was sacked or hit 5.5 times per game. That's 22 total. Ranks the highest in the conference. Not to single a guy out, but you talk about Elijah Page, left tackle, 2nd most pressures of any Big Ten lineman, despite only playing 3.5 games. That has got to improve if the Trojans want to win. You got to buy Miller Moss some time to throw, establish the run game, and then go from there.
It's also not looking good for USC with their defensive side. They've had a really hard time stopping the run, and Penn State actually had a season-low rushing game at UCLA, but that's because one of their top rushers was injured, and I'm pretty sure I saw reports that he'll be back, so it's looking a little rough for USC.
Well, not a good
there.
sign, especially with Eric Gentry out. Well, Lincoln Riley's tenure at USC has not gone completely as planned so far, but it isn't entirely his fault. We tossed it over to Thomas at the Monitor to try and answer that question.
The $10 million man. Head coach Lincoln Riley has not lived up to that massive bill just yet, but we have to take his tenure with all of its context. Let's start with his time at Oklahoma. Riley took over for head coach Bob Stoops. Stoops won 10 Big 12 titles as the Sooner head coach to go along with the national championship. He ended his tenure with nearly an .800 winning percentage when he retired in 2017 and gave the reins to Riley, who was the offensive coordinator at the time. Big shoes for Riley to fill, but the then 33-year-old was able to keep multiple assistant coaches on the staff, including big pieces like Mike Stoops and Bill Bedenbaugh. Now over to his time at USC. It was a completely different story. This was the first time Riley had to hire his assistant coaching staff completely from scratch, and it hasn't gone too well so far. The Trojans started out the Riley tenure with Alex Grinch as the defensive coordinator, and everyone knows how that went. USC put up 2 of its worst defenses in program history, with 2 of the poorest performances coming in the Cotton Bowl and Pac-12 championship during Riley's first year. The only reason the Trojans saw any semblance of success was because they had a Heisman quarterback at the helm. Now the problem is not the defense after a strong turnaround by new defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn. A major deficiency for USC has been the offensive line this year, which is led by assistant coach Josh Henson. It seems to be another misfire hire. Miller Moss has a quick release, but has still been hit more than nearly every other quarterback in the country. Riley should not be absolved for poor assistant hirings. He's the head coach, but he had to build his entire coaching staff from scratch when he came to USC. He started to make amends for those bad hirings with the additions of D'Anton Lynn, Matt Entz, and Eric Henderson. Riley has started to figure out how to hire assistant coaches who complement his weaknesses. And if he continues to do so, the Trojans will be a force to be reckoned with. Riley is in the process of not only shaking off the dreadful years under Clay Helton, but also fixing the mistakes he made when he first came to USC. The Lynn hiring was a good start, but the Trojan head coach still has some work to do to get USC into the national title conversation. Let's see if Riley can make another round of strong offseason changes, but for now, we're going to focus on this season. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you for those insights, Thomas. USC will host Penn State at the Coliseum this weekend. Let's meet some of their top players. Starting with their quarterback, Drew Aller. Aller has a 70% completion rate, throwing 9 touchdowns with 1 interception so far this season. He's averaging a career-high 10.7 yards per attempt and 15.1 yards per completion. His passing confidence has evolved from last year, and he's been getting the ball to the best playmakers on the field.
For my player to watch this weekend, I chose the Nittany Lions senior tight end Tyler Warren. As the team leader in receiving yards this season, Warren has racked up 289 yards and 23 receptions. Warren broke Penn State's program record for most total touchdowns by a tight end with 18 during the Nittany Lions win over UCLA last Saturday. The senior tight end does it all for Penn State as he's thrown, caught, and rushed for a touchdown this season. Tyler Warren is a versatile component of their offense, and he's the one to watch this weekend.
Now let's flip it to the defensive side with the anchor for the secondary, safety Jalen Reed. The 6', 210-pound senior from Detroit, Michigan has led the charge for the Nittany Lions defense. Reed leads the team in tackles with 33 total and has also recorded 1.5 sacks. Watch as Reed shoots through the gap on this one. Is that Budda Baker or Jalen Reed? I can't tell. We'll make sure to keep an eye on those players this Saturday as the Trojans host the Nittany Lions.
Coming up next, find out about how one USC star secured the richest shoe deal in women's basketball history. And hear from senior women's soccer player about their successful season.
Now your child can visit steamy jungles, grassy plains, and the dark depths of the oceans to meet and learn surprising facts about the magnificent animals that live there, all through the captivating, colorful pages of Zoo Books. The publication is specially created for young readers. Each monthly issue of Zoo Books is packed with breathtaking full-color photos and scientifically accurate illustrations, plus games and puzzles. Today, through this exclusive TV offer, you can get 12 fascinating issues of Zoo Books for the special price of $19.95. When you call and use your credit card, we'll include the elephants issue as a gift. Plus, you'll also get the colorful collection of animal stickers and the tiger poster. So order Zoo Books today and send learning and fun to a child you love.
To order 12 fascinating issues of Zoo Books for $19.95, call 1-800-441-2400. When you call, we'll include the bonus elephant issue, stickers, and tiger poster with your order. Call 1-800-441-2400. You must be 18 years or older to call.
Have you ever wanted to develop your artistic abilities? If so, you may already have the interest and desire needed to become a serious art student. To find out, simply call toll-free and Art Instruction Schools will send you this enjoyable art test. Since 1914, we've helped thousands of aspiring artists become more skilled, more confident, and more creative in their art. Call today for your free art test. We'll help you become a better artist.
Sophomore guard Juju Watkins has just signed one of the most lucrative shoe deals in women's basketball history. Last year, Juju Watkins helped lead the USC women's basketball team to their first Elite Eight appearance since 1994. She has become a star on and off the court, scoring deals with brands like Celsius, Gatorade, NerdWallet, and more. However, her most recent contract extension with Nike will give her one of the richest shoe endorsement deals in women's basketball history. Negotiations were led by Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul. Some accolades from Juju's freshman season include becoming the all-time leading scorer among freshmen in NC Division I, winning the Best Breakthrough Athlete ESPY Award, as well as the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. Juju will start off her sophomore season across the ocean this year in Paris on November 4th when the Trojans take on Ole Miss.
Now it's time for some quick updates on other things happening in the USC athletics. This past weekend, men's water polo went 1-1 in 2 big games, beating number 6 ranked Cal 16-13. Then the next day, dropping their second game of the year to number 3 ranked Stanford. USC women's soccer continued their beatdown run in conference play, knocking off Oregon 2-0. Senior forward Miley Hayes scored both of the Trojan goals against the Ducks. Still tied for first atop the Big Ten, Hayes spoke afterwards about what it meant to spend her last year in college as a Trojan.
So special, this was such a good decision that I made. It was a very tough one, but I'm so happy I made it. The people here, I can't put into words how special they've been to me in such a short period of time. So yeah, just being able to play my last year here, it's so special and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, USC women's volleyball picked up 2 big wins in conference play, beating Michigan in 5 sets and routing 12th-ranked Minnesota in 4. Looking at the Big Ten ranked teams, USC comes in at 16, while Minnesota dropped to 14. Meanwhile, at the top, Penn State and Nebraska remain undefeated in conference play.
That's it for quick updates. Now let's send it over to Terrence and Thomas on the couch for some good old-fashioned debating.
That's right, Devin. It's time for Trojan of the Week. Buckle up, today should be a fun one. It feels like a carousel of opponents on the couch, but today I'm joined by Terrence Holton. We both chose team leaders for our respective Trojans of the Week. Let's get started with Max Miller of men's water polo. Miller was the main reason why USC took down Cal this past weekend, putting up a season-high 5 goals against the Golden Bears on only 5 shots, as the Trojans won 16-13.
For my Trojan of the Week, I chose someone who actually won both their matchups this past week, USC women's volleyball's Allie Batenhorst. This past week, Batenhorst led USC in kills during 2 massive wins in Big Ten play. 20 kills in a reverse sweep over Michigan and 19 in a win over number 12 ranked Minnesota, helping lead USC to 3-1 in Big Ten play, up to number 16 in the country. Now, Thomas, I started off first. I'll let you go. You're the vet.
Well, I appreciate that because Allie Batenhorst had a great performance across both games. I don't deny that, if you only look at the box score. And if you look at the box score, sure, she had a lot of kills, but the reason why USC went down 2-0 against Michigan is because Batenhorst had 5 reception errors. 5 reception errors against Michigan. She leads the Big Ten in reception errors. That's how much of a problem it's been. So sure, she notches a lot of kills, but she's also a big reason why USC is losing points. Teams are attacking her.
I'll give you that they're losing points, but they're also gaining points. As I mentioned, she led the team in kills in both games, and that, as I mentioned, it was a reverse sweep. Yeah, they lost the first 2, but they came back and won the next 3 big ones.
All right, well, I'll talk about Max Miller, who is not detracting from his team performance. He had 5 goals against the Cal Golden Bears, the number 6 team in the country. He had 5 goals on 5 shots.
But what about the now number 1 ranked Stanford? Where was he against that? Because in my recollection,
he only took 2 shots because the Stanford defense is that
bottled
good.
up. He was bottled up. A good player wouldn't get bottled up. A good
oh, really?
player.
Okay, what did Allie Batenhorst do against number 1 Nebraska?
No, that doesn't matter. First off, they're number 2, and that doesn't matter. That was 2 weeks ago.
But no. You just said.
But we're talking about this.
You just said good players don't get bottled up. You just said good players don't get bottled up, and I don't care if it's Trojan of the Week this week.
Are you talking Trojan of the month? That wasn't even this month.
Can you let me finish my point, please? Batenhorst did play Nebraska, and she got bottled up. So if you want to use that as an example, I'm just fighting back with that.
Yeah, I respect that. I do. But we're talking about this week, and we're talking about not showing up. He is the best player on that team. Yes, Allie Batenhorst, arguably the best player on the USC women's volleyball team. I think he really needed to show up this game. This was a chance for USC to go number 1. If they had won that game, I think they would have been number 1.
No, because Stanford beat UCLA the day prior.
But if they beat Cal and Stanford, you beat the team who beat the number 1 team,
whatever.
I think you go to number 1.
Semantics, because USC lost to the number 1 team in the country.
They lost. That's exactly. They lost.
Yeah, it's a team performance, and Max Miller, that's the only reason why USC is still number 3, because Miller put up 5 goals against Cal.
5 against Cal and 1 against Stanford. Yes,
yeah,
the 2
only
shots.
2 shots.
I give
only
you the 2 shots. I don't know. I am just feeling 20 kills against Michigan in the reverse sweep, a big-time reverse sweep. That would have dropped them out of the AVCA poll. And against number 12 Michigan, 19, once again leading the team.
And 64% of USC's reception errors over the weekend. But that's besides the
Only
point.
one against Minnesota, but that's all right.
4 reception errors against Minnesota, 5 against Michigan, 4 against Minnesota. But we'll send it back to the desk for more.
Well, sorry to break that up there, but stick around because up next we'll break down what's going on in the NFL in LA. And we'll take a look at the Dodgers and Padres heated competition.
Let me tell you how we amplify our Latine voices. Check out Dímelo. We have it all.
Deportes.
Entertainment. Noticias. ¿Qué tal? Soy Mariela Gómez y bienvenidos a Dime la Hora.
Radio and podcasting.
Comida y cultura. Digital social media.
¿A qué equipo le vas tú? LA Galaxy o LAFC? Dímelo is the only Latina-focused media outlet at USC. Dímelo. We have it all.
Dímelo. We have it all.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
There's a new pet.
Chia.
Chia Pet, the pottery that grows. It's fun and easy. Soak your chia, spread the seeds, keep it watered, and watch it grow. And now grow a whole collection of fun with Chia teddy bears, puppies, kittens, rams, bulls. There's even a chia tree to keep your pets company. Chia Pets and Trees, the pottery that grows.
The Chia Pet and Chia Tree are available at Kmart, Rite Aid, Ames, and Woolworth. Makes a great gift.
6-run second inning. And this guy is on deck.
Hope you got the right sound system on your TV to.
Padres a strike away from taking control of this series.
The heated rivalry between the San Diego Padres and the Dodgers is coming back to LA for more playoff baseball, with the Dodgers on the brink of elimination. Yesterday in San Diego, the Dodgers got off to an early lead after a solo home run by Mookie Betts began the scoring. However, in the second inning, the Padres went on a scoring run, including a Fernando Tatis Jr. moonshot to put the San Diego up 6-1. The Dodgers would rally the next inning, but it wasn't enough to overcome the deficit. Looking at the series history, these two heated foes matched up 13 times this season, with the Padres winning 8 of them. In the playoffs, the two arch rivals have met in 3 separate series, with the Dodgers leading 4-3 in total games. With the Dodgers on the brink of elimination, will they trail the 5 of 2 games to 1? Do you guys think they will be able to make it to a game 5?
I'm going to go ahead and start and say absolutely not. The Dodgers look very weak on the past 2 games, even in game 1. I mean, they're allowing so many runs. It has to point to the starting pitcher problem. They've had injuries all season long. Clayton Kershaw obviously out right now. Walker Buehler with an ERA north of 5.0. I mean, what happened to him? Nobody has any idea. And then Bobby Miller, 8.52 ERA as well. The starting pitching has got to clean up for the Dodgers if they want to win.
Well, Liam, I agree with you there. I think the Padres have definitely been dominant. They came alive in the second half of the season. But this series has made for great entertainment. Can we talk about that? It's definitely been a heated exchange. Last night there was controversy. Dodgers thought that one of the Padres players intentionally threw a ball at the manager. So it's definitely been fun to watch from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I was in class last night, and a boy sitting in front of me had on a Dodgers jersey, a Shohei Ohtani jersey, and he was watching the game during class, and he was very into it and did not hide it. But he also did not hide his disappointment at the end of that game, which I think shows a lot how the Dodgers fans will be feeling a lot this season.
Yeah, if the Dodgers are eliminated, that'll be the second time in 3 seasons that the Padres knock them out. So the fan base is not going to be very happy about that.
Yeah, well, the Dodgers look to tie the series in Game 4 tonight at 6 p.m. Now we'll take a look at the NHL's familiar face in a new place.
There's officially a new team in the NHL. Last night was a season opener for the Utah Hockey Club in Salt Lake City.
The inaugural season begins with a win for the Utah Hockey Club.
The nameless team is already in the win column, beating the Chicago Blackhawks Tuesday night 5-3. Dylan Gunter scored twice to help lead the charge in the club's debut, giving the Utah franchise an 100% all-time winning percentage. See what I did there? Utah will also continue its inaugural season, making a trip to the Big Apple to take on the New York Islanders on Thursday night.
Well, LA sports is a hot topic right now, but the Chargers and Rams seasons are looking anything but hot. Now over to Daniel to tell us about LA's football teams.
Both the LA Rams and Chargers are on losing streaks entering Week 6 of the season. The Rams' latest loss came in a nail-biter to the Green Bay Packers last Sunday.
And we gave ourselves a chance, and there was some turnovers that really cost us. There were some negatives that moved us back, but we've got to do a great job. I do like the fight of this group. This doesn't feel good right now, being in this situation. But what our guys will do, we'll come in, we'll look at the film. They'll get a couple days off. We'll look at this as coaches and figure out, all right, how do we reset ourselves?
The Rams have been playing without star receivers Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua for the last 3 weeks. LA is also losing depth at center after placing Jonah Jackson on IR, and the Rams also placed defensive tackle Laurel Murchison on IR with a foot injury. Luckily for the Rams, they are eyeing a Week 7 return for Kupp, who has been out since Week 2. And after starting the season 2-0 with wins over the Raiders and Panthers, the Chargers have dropped their last 2 games with losses against Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Star QB Justin Herbert is also playing through a high ankle sprain suffered in the loss against the Steelers. The Chargers will look to get back on track in Denver this Sunday against the Broncos, and the Rams will rest up during a much-needed bye week before their next game against the Raiders. And that's all we have for the NFL. Let's toss it back to the desk to hear about how the Lakers' newest father-son duo is doing in the preseason so far.
LeBron and Bronny made history Sunday night as the first father and son duo to play in an NBA game. The moment came at the start of the second quarter when Bronny James, who was celebrating his 20th birthday, checked into the game alongside his father. How about that for a birthday present? Despite negativity for years around both LeBron and Bronny James, the two overcame everything to create a moment for the history books. LeBron had this to say when asked about the moment.
I mean, for a father, it means everything. I mean, for someone who didn't have that, growing up, to be able to have that influence on your kids and have the influence on your son, to be able to have moments with your son, and then ultimately, to be able to work with your son, I think that's one of the greatest things that a father could ever hope for or wish for, so it's pretty cool.
Well, props to LeBron and Bronny. With fall break approaching, Devin, Grace, will you all be at the Coliseum this weekend to watch the Penn State football game?
I'll be there for sure, cheering on USC and seeing what will happen in this crazy matchup this weekend.
Yeah, I will not, but I will be watching the beatdown virtually on my computer.
Yeah, we'll hope it's a beatdown for sure.
Well, we'll definitely be back here next Wednesday to recap that for you guys. But that's all the time we have on Sports Scene today. I'm Grace Schneider.
I'm Liam.